Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on the absolutely mind-boggling journey of something you probably have in your kitchen right now. Sugar.
So we're diving deep into the world of global trade, and we're starting with what seems like a simple question, right? But believe me, the answer is anything but simple. This is a story about logistics, high-stakes finance, and a whole lot of risk.
You know, the entire plan hinges on this one big decision right at the start. Are you importing raw sugar or refined sugar? If you go with raw, you're shipping massive amounts in bulk, and you're really counting on a local refinery to get it right. On the other hand, if you pick refined sugar, it's a bit simpler, but man, that quality control has got to be perfect from day one.
All right, let's get to the blueprint phase. Because any pro will tell you the real work, the hard work, happens long before a single ship ever leaves the port. It is all about the prep.
So, first things first. Every single product that crosses a border needs a passport. And in the world of trade, that passport is called an HS code. It's this universal number that tells every customs officer on the planet exactly what's in your shipment. For sugar, you'll find all the codes under Chapter 17.
And here is exactly why that little code is so critical. You make one tiny mistake. You classify your sugar under the wrong number and bam, your entire profit margin could just poof, vanish because of a massive, unexpected tax bill at the border.
So before you even think about calling a supplier in Brazil, an importer in Bangladesh has to have their ducks in a row. You need these 4 things, no exceptions. A license to actually trade, a bank that trusts you enough to back you, a local customs agent who knows all the ins and outs, and a solid plan for that final quality inspection.
Okay, homework's done. Now it's time to actually go out and make the deal happen across continents. This is where the real international dance of global trade kicks off.
It really breaks down into these 4 key steps. It's a path that takes you from a potential deal to a secured, financed, and shippable reality. You find your supplier, you build a rock-solid contract to protect yourself, you get the bank on board to finance it all, and then, finally, you book the ship to bring it home. And that brings us to the absolute linchpin of this whole deal, the letter of credit, or what everyone in the business calls an LC. This thing is the financial bedrock that makes the entire transaction possible.
Seriously, think of it like this. The bank acts as a guaranteed, trustworthy middleman. It removes a massive amount of risk for everyone. The seller in Brazil sleeps well knowing they'll get paid as long as they ship the sugar and get the documents right. And the buyer in Bangladesh knows the bank won't release a single dollar until there's solid proof that the sugar is on its way.
Okay, now we're entering what might be the most dangerous part of the whole journey. And no, it's not the high seas, it's the paperwork. I know it sounds boring, but in global trade, it is a high-wire act with no safety net.
You're looking at a whole stack of essential documents here, and the key word is perfectly consistent. I mean, every single detail, every name, every number, every date has to line up exactly across this entire pile of paper. There is zero room for error.
And don't just take my word for it. This quote from our source material really hits it home. A tiny mistake, just some vague wording in that original letter of credit, can cause the bank to reject all the documents. And if that happens, the whole process just grinds to a halt, with your sugar stuck at the port, costing you money every single day.
So the sugar finally makes it across the ocean. Phew! But wait, the game's not over. Now you've got to face the final bosses at the port: customs, port authorities, and, of course, the quality inspectors.
And here's a word that gives importers nightmares: demurrage. It's basically a massive late fee for your cargo. If your shipment just sits there at the port for too long because of a paperwork issue or inspection delays, you start bleeding cash and daily penalties.
And to put that into perspective, we're talking about $5,000 a day. Just imagine, a little paperwork snag holds you up for a week. Boom, there goes over 35 grand. I mean, these fees are absolutely no joke. They can wipe out your entire profit in the blink of an eye.
And here it is, the final gatekeeper. Before that sugar can be sold in the country, the BSTI has to test it and officially certify that it's safe, it's pure, and it meets all the national standards. This is the final green light. So after all that, after this absolute marathon from a field in Brazil to a port in Bangladesh, what's the secret sauce? What really separates a profitable shipment from a total, unmitigated disaster?
Well, our source material really lays out the greatest hits of what can go wrong. It's everything from focusing too much on just the price to simple stuff, Like number 5 here, not protecting the sugar from moisture. Can you imagine getting everything else right just to have your entire cargo ruined by a little bit of water? Devastating.
And this final quote just sums it all up perfectly. The people who win at this game aren't the ones who find the cheapest sugar. They're the ones who become absolute masters of managing risk. The risk of bad quality, the risk of a typo on a document, and the risk that a government policy changes overnight.
Which leaves us with a final thought. After seeing this whole crazy journey, what do you think is the scarier risk? The giant, unpredictable waves of the ocean, or a tiny, single typo on a piece of paper? Something to think about.